A young artist once asked his mentor, "I've been working hard for years, so why does it feel like I'm not moving forward?" The mentor didn't answer right away. Instead, he took him deep into a forest. There were two trees standing side by side. The first tree had grown fast. In only a few years, it had become tall and impressive. The second tree was different. Its growth was slow, almost unnoticeable. The artist looked at both trees and said, "Well, clearly the first tree is more successful." The mentor smiled. He walked over to the first tree and gave it a gentle push. The tree collapsed instantly. Its roots were shallow. Then he walked toward the second tree. "This one grew slowly," he said, "because for years it focused on building strong roots first. Now, even a storm can't bring it down." And that's the biggest problem with modern life. Everyone wants fast growth, fast money, fast results, fast success. But almost nobody wants to build deep roots. What's fascinating is that many of history's greatest minds didn't look extraordinary in the beginning. Charles Darwin struggled in school. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart spent years doing repetitive practice before the world noticed him. Albert Einstein was considered average by several teachers early in life. Their success wasn't hidden in their DNA. The difference was something else. A mindset, a process, a formula called mastery. And in the book, Mastery, Robert Greene breaks down the exact path followed by many of the greatest performers in human history. And today, we're going to break down that roadmap step by step. The same roadmap that helped ordinary people develop rare skills, reshape their minds, and leave a permanent mark on the world. Step 1. Find your life's task. Because deep down, most people already know when they're moving away from who they were meant to become. When you were a child, there was a voice inside you. Quiet, natural, honest. It pulled you toward certain things without forcing you. Some kids loved taking machines apart to see how they worked. Some spent hours drawing. Some were obsessed with watching people and understanding behavior. Others got lost in music, stories, numbers, nature, or building things with their hands. Back then, your curiosity was pure. But as you got older, the noise of society slowly buried that voice. Pick something safe. Choose a career that makes money. Don't waste time on hobbies. Be realistic. And little by little, many people trade their uniqueness for security. They stop listening to themselves, and eventually, they forget who they were before the world told them who to become. Take the story of Charles Darwin. In school, Darwin was considered a weak student. His father, who was a doctor, became so frustrated with him that he once said, "You care about nothing except hunting dogs and catching rats. You'll become a disgrace to your family." Darwin was sent to medical school. He failed. Then he was pushed toward a career in the church. But again, something felt wrong. There was only one thing he truly loved: nature. He loved walking through forests, studying animals, collecting strange specimens, and observing tiny details most people ignored. At the time, that obsession looked useless, like a distraction. But then, an opportunity appeared. Darwin was invited to travel aboard the HMS Beagle as a naturalist, and instead of ignoring his childhood fascination, he followed it. That single decision changed history. During that journey, Darwin developed the foundation for the theory of evolution, one of the most important scientific ideas ever created. And here's the deeper point. The thing that society dismisses in you, the obsession people tell you to grow out of, the interest that keeps pulling your attention back over and over again. That thing often contains the blueprint for your life's work. Your natural attraction matters. Because mastery doesn't begin with discipline, it begins with genuine fascination. When you love something deeply, you endure pain differently. You practice longer. You notice details other people miss. You stay curious when others quit. That's why so many people feel lost later in life. They built a career around survival, but never built a connection with themselves. So go back to your origins. What fascinated you before approval became important? What made you lose track of time as a child? What topic keeps returning no matter how many times you ignore it? That pattern is not random. It's a clue. And if you realize you've been walking someone else's path for years, then this might be the moment to rebel. Not against society, against the version of yourself that abandoned what felt real. Step 2. Submit to reality. Okay, so you found your passion. What happens next? Here's where most people quit. Because what comes next isn't glory. It's the apprenticeship. The long, grinding, uncomfortable phase where you're at the bottom and you have to earn your way up. Let me tell you about Freddie Roach. Freddie gave everything to boxing. He trained for years, bled in the ring, and poured his whole identity into the sport. And then he lost, fight after fight, until finally he had to walk away. He ended up working a telemarketing job. He fell into depression. He drank. And then one day, he walked back into his old gym just to be around the sport he loved. He didn't get paid. He just watched. He handed out water. He observed. And slowly, he started to see things other coaches were missing. He invented a training method called mitt work, where the coach actually gets in the ring with the fighter, wearing pads, reading their movement in real time. That one insight turned Freddie Roach into one of the greatest boxing trainers in history. He went on to coach Manny Pacquiao. He didn't win as a fighter. He mastered the craft from a completely different angle. Robert Greene breaks this phase into 3 parts. First, observe deeply. When you enter any new environment, kill your ego. Watch. Listen. Understand the real power dynamics before you open your mouth. Second, build your skills. Pick one thing and go all in. We're talking 10,000 hours. Yes, it's going to be boring. Yes, you're going to want to quit. That discomfort is the point. Third, experiment. Once you have a foundation, start breaking the rules. Henry Ford went bankrupt twice before he built Ford Motor Company. The lesson? Stop chasing money and start chasing mastery. Because if you choose learning today, you'll have freedom tomorrow. The pain and the boredom you're feeling right now, that's not a sign to stop. That's your brain rewiring itself. Step 3. Find your mentor. You cannot do this alone. Your life is too short to learn every lesson the hard way. You need someone who's already walked the path you're trying to walk. Someone who can collapse years of your journey into months. Michael Faraday grew up poor, barely any formal education. He got a job at a bookbinding shop, which sounds like a dead end, right? But Faraday had a hunger that wouldn't quit. He attended lectures by the most famous scientist of his era, Humphrey Davy. He took notes so detailed, so beautiful, that he bound them into a book and sent it to Davy as a gift. Davy was so impressed, he brought Faraday on as his lab assistant. And Faraday didn't just work for Davy, he studied him. He absorbed how Davy thought, how he approached problems, how he saw the world. And then, eventually, Faraday didn't just match his mentor, he surpassed him. He discovered electromagnetism, one of the most important breakthroughs in scientific history. So here's the move. Drop the ego. Find the person who is 10 steps ahead of you in the field you care about. Learn everything from them. Absorb their power. And when the time comes, build your own path. Step 4. Understand people. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. Your biggest obstacle isn't your skill, it's the people around you. When you start to rise, something shifts in the people close to you. Some of them will support you, but others, and you'll feel it before you can name it, will start to quietly work against you. Envy is real. Office politics are real. Passive aggression is real. The mistake most talented people make is that they walk through the world as they wish it were. Honest, fair, straightforward. But that's not always how it works. Benjamin Franklin figured this out early. So did Martha Graham. The greatest minds throughout history developed what Greene calls social intelligence, the ability to read people clearly without illusion. You don't have to become cynical, but you do have to become clear-eyed. Stop wasting your energy arguing with people who don't want to understand you. Learn to redirect that energy into your work. That's where your aggression belongs. Step 5. Break the rules. Now you have the skills. You have the knowledge. You've studied the masters. But if all you ever do is repeat what you were taught, you'll be a very good employee. You will never be a master. Mozart's father trained him from childhood to be a proper, traditional composer. And for years, Mozart obeyed. He played by the rules. He performed on command. But as he got older, those old, predictable structures started to feel like a cage. So he rebelled. He broke everything his father had built, and in doing so, he created Don Giovanni, one of the most revolutionary operas ever written. Darkness, emotion, a completely new sound that nobody had ever heard. That's what the creative phase looks like. Greene gives us a few principles here. Keep your childlike curiosity alive. The moment you stop wondering, you start dying creatively. Embrace what he calls negative capability. Sit with uncertainty. Don't rush to conclusions. Connect ideas that seem completely unrelated to each other. And most importantly, test your ideas in the real world. Don't just live in your head. When you can hold contradictions inside yourself without flinching, that's when you produce something that actually moves people. Step 6. Mastery. After 20,000 hours in a field, something happens. It's not magic. It's pure neuroscience. Your brain stops getting caught up in the small details. You start seeing the whole picture. Your skills sink into your nervous system. You stop thinking. You just know. Einstein called it the fingertip feel. He was walking with a friend one afternoon, frustrated after months of being stuck on his theory. He told his friend, "I'm giving up." But later that same day, when his mind finally relaxed, a flash came, an image, a train, a beam of light. And in that one moment, without a single calculation, the entire concept of the theory of relativity became clear to him. Where did that intuition come from? It came from years of deep work, rational thinking, and obsessive focus. All of it eventually merging with his unconscious mind and surfacing as a single moment of clarity. That's what mastery feels like. You stop seeing the chess pieces, you see the entire game. Your body and your mind operate as one. Every great person in history went through a long, invisible phase. A phase where nobody was watching, nobody was clapping, nobody was subscribing. But that's exactly where the real transformation happened. Maybe that's where you are right now. Don't rush it. Slow progress is still progress. And the world ultimately rewards the people who stay in the game long after the excitement is gone. People will tell you that you're average. They'll say talent is everything. But now, you know the truth. Genius isn't something you're born with. Genius is what happens to the person who keeps showing up through the pain and the boredom when everyone else has already walked away. Your mastery doesn't start someday. It starts right now.